door. He's out there hollering, darling, don't you love me no more? You're always raining in the fortnight. He's just singing the same old song that he always sang before. He's the last of the hardcore troubadour. Hi there, it's a Sly Wagon Lessons back with some more song-based instruction. I'm playing the harmonica and the guitar together. Your two favorite instruments, and on a great song today, it's Hardcore Troubadour, which is a super song by Steve Earle. Steve Earle being the first artist to get a repeat lesson on Sly Wagon Lessons. My streaming service tells me that I am in the top 1% of Steve Earle listeners in the world. And I believe it. I do find myself listening to a lot of Steve Earle music, and it's all good. He's a great songwriter. Hardcore Troubadour, I like to play on my 12 string. So you might have noticed I've got my 12 string in my lap today because I really like the mid-range, how much mid-range on this song in particular, because I am going to do a little bit of picking to introduce the song, and then we'll play that same kind of riff but on the harmonica and lay that kind of throughout in various spots of the song. All right, and when I am playing the harmonica, I'll slow it down and put it up in the picto tab that you can so that you can follow along. I'm going to play it in straight harmonica. So the song is in the key of G. It's all simple chords, G, C, D, and an E minor. We'll play it in straight harmonica, up kind of straddling the 2 octaves on the G diatonic harmonica. Later on in the lesson, if I don't forget, I'll show you how you could play the same thing but on the C harmonica, and I'll explain why I prefer to do it on the G. All right. You can also, and I'll try to cover this too, if I forget, please remind me, cover off playing it on the G harmonica, but lower down in that first octave around the 3 and 4 hole. All right. So lots to get to, and I'm going to try to keep it brief for you today. But so let me show you the little guitar intro that you can use if you're going to be playing a Hardcore Troubadour. It goes like this, and then I'll slow it down. Okay, so what am I doing? I'm plucking always the 2nd and the 3rd string. So the B string and the A string. But sorry, it's the G string until I put my finger at the 2nd fret. So you've got your B string and your G string open to begin with. All right, that's your opening note, and then next you lay your ring finger at the 1st fret of the B string. So that's a C note, and then you very much use your middle finger at the 2nd fret of the G string for an A note. All right, so it's that little mini chord. Those are our first 2 notes. Then you're just going to take that same structure and slide it up. So now your index finger, look along here in the chord cam, is at the 3rd fret on the B string. So that's a D note. And you're picking up the B note on that G string, though, at the 4th fret with your middle finger. All right? So we're 3 notes in now. Then I'm going to replace my index finger with my ring finger up here at the 5th fret, and I'll use my middle finger on the 5th fret of the G string. So I'm plucking an E note and a C note. Okay? And then I'm just going to do the same thing but kind of in reverse. Okay, back down. So again, that structure, that one, and then open. So together it sounds like, and you can think of that as the first half of the riff. The second half starts off very similarly with the open, and then at the first fret, ring finger, or sorry, index finger at that first fret, that structure. Okay, so I'm just kind of starting out the same way as the first half, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so it's the open, the B string and the G string open, then with your first index finger on the first fret of the B string, and you're picking up that A note with your middle finger on the G string, slide it up 2 frets, then slide it back where it was, and then strum those 2 strings open, right? And then pick up the E note on the D string at the second fret with your middle finger, and then pluck it open for a D. Okay, so once more, all together, that intro sounds like this. All right. On the harmonica, straight harmonica, this is a G in the rack, we're going to play that same little riff, but while we strum the chords, and we'll pick out the notes on the harmonica. So based on that guitar bit that we've seen to introduce Core Troubadour by Steve Earle, we're now just going to repeat that right away, but with the notes on the harmonica and strumming some simple chords on the guitar. It's going to sound like this, and I'm starting on a 7 blow in first position on my G diatonic harmonica. All right, so that would come right after that guitar bit. Then you're into that first verse of singing. So let me slow that down for you and put it up in the picto tab so you can follow the notes on the harmonica. And again, I'll remind you real quick that a blue square means blow, and a red square means draw on that hole. And we're playing single notes, so you're going to want to have your mouth in the proper shape, which you can achieve by first whistling. That disgusting mess is what you want to lay over a single hole on your harmonica to achieve a single note like this, which I'll try to hit the 7 blow. Good job, Sly Wagon Lessons. That was a 7 blow, so that's a G note because this is a G diatonic harmonica. All right, so slowed down now. Here is that same riff, but on the harmonica. All right, I'm going to slow it down further, and like we did for the guitar, we'll bust it up into kind of part 1 and part 2. So here's part 1. Okay, that's the first part, and you will note that you're strumming that C just as you're hitting the C note. Okay, so that's the first half of that riff. Now I'll play the second half and likewise put it up in the picto tab. The only tricky part to remember at this point, if you're like me playing it straight, is that below the 7th hole, and we're going to use the 6th hole here, the pattern changes on the diatonic harmonica. The lower note is going to be on the draw, and the lower note's going to be on the blow. The draw is the higher note, and that pattern changes for holes 7 up to number 10. All right, so we've done our first part, and now we're going to play the second part. So what I'm adding, the first part of the second part, is very similar, right? So I'm going G, A, B, then walking back down to B, B, A, G. And then, as I hit the E minor chord, I'm going to hit an E note, and then a D chord at the same time as I hit a D note. So that's, if you put those two parts together then, that's what I would play at the introduction of the song. You do that guitar riff, right? And then right into the same thing on the harmonica riff. Oh girl, don't bother and lock your door. He's out there hollering, darling, don't you love me no more? You always let him in before now, didn't you? He's just singing the same old song that he always sang before. He's the last of the hardcore troubadours. So that's the end of the first verse. You can put in the second half of the harmonica riff in between verses, right? He's the last of the hardcore troubadours. Girl, better figure out which is which. We're into the second verse, all right? At speed, I'll show you how that would sound. He's the last of the hardcore troubadours. Girl. Okay, so it's just that second half, and I'll do it once more slow up in the picto tab. And then you're into the next verse, all right, or the chorus, as would happen. All right, that's how you can add some interesting little harmonica bits to Hardcore Troubadour by Steve Earle. All right, as promised, I haven't forgotten, I'm going to just show you real quick a couple of different ways that you could play this little riff from Hardcore Troubadour on either on your C harmonica, but you're still playing in the key of G, so that's going to be called second position, although you don't really need to think about it that way. You can just, all the notes you need are on the C harmonica as well, so I'll show you how to do that. And then I'll show you as well, if you did want to play it maybe in a variety of ways, there is another spot on the G harmonica, a little bit lower on the instrument, that you can play it as well. It does involve a bend, a whole note bend, but I'll show you how to accomplish that. All right, so and I'll throw this up in the picto tab as well. So all the notes you need are a G, A, B, C, and then an E and a D, right? So notably, there's no F sharp in there. The G scale includes an F sharp that you wouldn't be able to find easily on your C harmonica. So what that means is you can play this on the C harmonica as well if you don't have a G, but you want to play the song in the key of G. All right? Sorry if that sounds complicated, but it's really not. It's quite simple. So let me find the G note. There it is. So that's what, 4, 5, 6 blow is your G on the C harmonica. That's on your C harmonica. Same riff. I'm going to slow it down and put this one up in the picto tab so you can see it as well. And those last two notes are really the only reason why I do prefer to play it in first position on the G, is because when I'm hitting that E minor, when I play it on the G, that E note is a draw on the 6th hole, and the D is a blow. Whereas on the C harmonica, your E note is a blow, right? It's going to be 5 blow. And your D note is going to be the draw on 4 draw. But I prefer to have that kind of what I consider the tension note, the E on the over the E minor chord, to be a draw. Just feels better and sounds better as I'm playing it. All right? But you can play it on the C harmonica as well. And just real quick, if you're on the G, and say you want to add a little variety, instead of always playing it the same way, because you're going to play that riff several times through the song, little musician's trick is to play the same thing but in a different octave, right? So we can take it at kind of an octave lower by playing it starting on the 4 blow on the harmonica, on the G harmonica. There it is. So the trick, if you're going to play it in this kind of lower in first position, but lower on the harmonica, is you've got to bend that 3 draw, which is an F sharp if you don't do anything with it. You want to draw that down to try and hit the E. Before you go to the D. All right, so that's a little bit tricky. You have to kind of get comfortable with bending notes, but also bending them in a way that you can hit the note that you're after, which, while you're concentrating on singing and playing the guitar, can be a little bit tricky. So that's another way to play it. For the reasons that I mentioned, I prefer to play it up around, starting on that the G that's on the 7 blow. All right, which I will play a little bit more on our way out today. I hope you have enjoyed this episode of Sly Wagon Lessons, and I hope you'll subscribe if playing the harmonica and playing the guitar is something that's of interest to you and you find the song-based instruction helpful. All right, so thanks for joining me. Hope to see you again.